Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Paper Skies, and today we're going to be doing a track breakdown of my song Reflections or Eccentric. We're going to be looking over a lot of different layers that built out the tune, how to use texture to fill up empty space, and just polish up your mixes in general. So let's get into a preview of the drop. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed that preview. Before getting started in FL Studio, we're going to be moving to Ableton on Eccentric's ends of things. He's an Ableton user and started off the project himself. So he's going to be breaking down kind of the fundamentals of the tune, and then we will return back to me for the other stuff. So without any further ado, here's Eccentric.
Hey everyone, Eccentric here. Just going to go over a few things about the original concept for Reflections before Paper Skies takes it away here. Just as a point of reference, this version that I currently got in front of me is really bare bones compared to what it has become. So bear with me on that. So right off here in the first group, most of that is a great contact library called Heaviosity Natural Forces. But so they're really cosmic. I don't know. There's a lot of like bell stuff happening and like angel-y noises. Yeah, another one there. Then just some piano. That's been filtered pretty heavily. Strings are just session strings, standard Native Instruments hardware. So that's that. Percussion is really simple. Got your kick, one that I made layered in with a sample. The hi-hats are also just kind of like, they're just doing hi-hat things. A bunch of hi-hat samples in a drum rack. And then I'm glitched them out so that there's a little bit more character. Let's talk about this vocal lead quick, because it's also super simple. It's just the vowel of like ah. You could use, O, E, Oi, or anything. It doesn't matter if it's a vowel. It can be turned into a really cool lead. So, yep, that's just being saturated through OTT, and then reverb, a little bit, tiny bit, and compressed a smidge. Not gonna touch on that neuro bass, but this is when I was just first getting into like trying to make neuro stuff, and so it's not super complicated, but there are a couple things going on. One of them is this filter, but it's just a sine wave and a square wave, the square D and operator. So yeah, we got a bandpass filter here, doing its thing, being automated. Serum FX is doing some things. Flanger, and just one of the buzz. I think there's not a whole lot else that makes this stand out pre-Paper Skies, because there are a lot more fun things that got added after.
Alright, we're back. Let's get into some of these smaller details, starting off with some of the texture in the tune and things like that. So on track 21 here, we have this kind of like crystally sound that fills up the background. If I solo it and all the automation itself, this is what it sounds like. So what this is it's actually just a sine wave with a pitch bend on it that's giving it some attack. So if I were to play that by itself, this is what it sounds like. And what's giving it that arpeggiator effect is if we open down this drop down in FL Studio, you can actually arpeggiate any of the plugins that you're working with as long as they're MIDI based. And I have the range being 2 octaves, and the time at which it's like looping those 2 octaves can be predetermined based on what you set. Now that I've got this set up, I'm just playing a chord and having that like match with the tune. Next thing is a huge bus of processing. I won't be able to break all of these layers down because there's just way too many, but the essential process is to try and make it sound more melodic, then add more stereo, control that stereo, add some glitch effects, even more reverb control, more crystallizer, and then a whole lot of filter freak, which is giving it a bunch of really cool movements. One at a time, I guess I can break it down like this. Then the second layer, and the last one. And you get some really crazy crystally effects. Well, I can't break down all of this automation because one, I don't think it would be worth the time, and two, it wouldn't be educating you guys properly on the process to make sounds like this. It's really about experimentation. I will say that, like Eccentric I think mentioned, you need to just have a lot of automation if you want to get crazy sounds like this, because it involves a lot of warping, a lot of movement, and the more automations that you can have, I almost want to say the better. Just for the reason because you'll have more manual control over different elements of the sound as opposed to having it set to like an automatic LFO tool or something of that sort. What I'm actually doing from there now is taking this glitch sound that we have, resampling it into Edison, and then doing a whole bunch of time stretching to get these really cool parts out of it that I could layer on top of eccentric basses. So what these layers are doing is they're filling up the side space in the high end that the bass is missing. And this is something that I do in a lot of my music, is just combining a lot of these like weird granule melodic kind of sounds on top of the pre-existing basses that I have to make sure that they're fully getting filled up first of all, but second of all have like nice secondary textures along with the organic sound that just adds a whole new feel to it. Now this is a super basic sound, but something worth looking into for anybody that uses Harmor and has FL Studio. I'm automating the phaser knob here along with some of the actual phaser and creating this cool bass sound by literally just taking a saw and pitching it down with some unison. Altogether, that helps fill up this little gap right here. Looking a bit closer into the drop, what are the actual main layers that we have here? All I can really say is the main bass, the drums, and then some of the little melodic undertones that Eccentric has prepared. Where the real flow and the whole space of the tune comes from is just layering a lot of pads, a lot of backgrounds, and more importantly for this track, a lot of Foley that moves around the headphones and is panned in different positions. Let's just solo those layers on their own and see how they sound. Then in the second half, it's really the same sort of loop, except I'm adding these bubbly sounds on each hit to kind of like layer with the hi-hats. And each one of those hits is panning in a different part of the headphones just to create some stereo space. And that's about it. If you guys enjoyed this tutorial, please check out the track Reflections out now on Argofox. It's available on SoundCloud, Spotify, wherever you want to find it. We put a lot of work into the tune, and we hope that these videos are being helpful. I'm super excited to put out more tutorials like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.